Chapter 6, Strange Lollipops. This lollipop world is filled with more suckers than the ones that can get close to you. There are lollipops everywhere. The worst lollipops are the ones that you don't even know. Their effects can be seen easily, but they can also have less of an effect on you if you don't give them the chance to penetrate your mind. You have to remember that everyone started out as a stranger, besides family. Even some of them are or were strangers at one point in time. There was either something that you did or they did that allowed them that chance to become a friend or an intimate partner. You can't pick your co-workers, but you are in control of where you decide to apply and work at. I've worked in many types of industries and I've found similarities in the character traits of the people in each separate industry. It got to the point where I knew what types of people I would be encountering depending on which industry I was entering. I've met strange lollipops a little bit everywhere, just like everyone else does. But the most common way that I've met them was through a mutual friend. I've always been able to get along with the stranger because if they were hanging out with a mutual friend, they must share some sort of common interest. It was usually like this most of the time, and it was easy for me to befriend them. The only issue that I had with that was the fact that I probably shared a common interest with both that I really had no business being involved in the first place. This we have to watch. It's one thing to have a friend that you get into mischief with, but when they are introducing you to more people of the same kind, that can get risky and dangerous. If the encounter doesn't require something positive and you are in that person's presence, there is nothing wrong with being cool and respectful, but don't become so welcoming. For some reason, we welcome person after person with the same traits that all of the others in our circle have that we don't need any more of. This keeps us going around and around in the same messes that we've been used to. Naturally, we will fall for these types and befriend them easily because they're all that we're used to. It's really just the same person with a different game plan leading to the same destruction that we can't afford. Don't feel any shame for being shallow towards a new encounter that you didn't even set up. They may look and act like you, like them, or whatever. If you know that yours or your buddy's actions and ways of thinking haven't been about the right, then don't be so quick to accept someone else just like y'all around. Y'all need to improve yourselves to improve the crowds that you attract. People say the opposites attract, and that is true mostly within relationships involving the opposite sex, but similar people attract even more and flock together easily. It may be five of y'all with the same mindsets and one person who's somewhat different, but that different one wouldn't even be welcome without some similarities to the rest. Strange lollipops are everywhere. I've met a ton of them in jail. Everyone who has ever sat in jail knows that the lollipops in there will completely blow your mind. There is nothing but thrill and suspense inside of the jail as men and women tell intriguing stories of their past and present lifestyles. Since you really have nothing else to do, you tend to be all ears listening to them ramble on and on. Once you let them in, it develops into some sort of friendship that one or both people expect to spill into the world upon one another's release. Sometimes it happens, most times it doesn't. I compare jail to that of the workplace in the sense that you meet people that you've never met before and become acquaintances. You eventually make plans to meet up outside of work or jail. You may do it, but most likely you won't. The difference in jail is that you can have their undivided attention and absorb more. In the workplace, you have to balance listening and working at the same time. No matter how much these people reveal to you about themselves, you still have to treat them as strangers because that's what they are. You can have all of the visuals in the world, but you neither know if what they are saying is true or if they mean you any good. In jail, all that anyone really talks about is crime anyway, and that is clearly what you don't need to be entertained and any more talk about. But in jail, people have learned from their mistakes and the mistakes of others, so they naturally come up with newer and improved ways to get away with this and that. And I must say that some are very enticing, but that is also how you ended up right back in there. It's a big trap once you let people influence your actions and your mind. You just might follow. When you are finished with just making any random person that interests you become a friend and you know who and what you want in your life, you will learn to leave many of these people right where you found them. Since you know that about yourself, what do you do when you run into these strange lollipops in these random places? What do you do when you appeal to them and you know they want some type of friendship with you? It's not always as easy as meeting strangers in the grocery store or a restaurant, a pay center, or some random public place. These people are regular high and buys. You shoot a few words here and there and go on about your business. Some people you really hit it off with to the point where numbers are about to be exchanged. What do you do about that? These are what I like to call impulsive lollipop relationships. These are like the people that you meet in clubs or bars or some type of social setting. Obviously, the two of you were talking about something y'all had in common, or else you wouldn't have been so engaged enough to want to go any further. But was the topic worth you opening your doors to this person, and how much should you open them? Is it a one-time encounter, or will you have to see and talk to this person more than a few times? All of this needs to be figured out, because just because you share a common interest doesn't mean that they are good enough to come into your life and around your company and or family. These quick meetings don't give you enough background on the person to the point where you can trust them like that. You don't know enough to even let them have your phone number. All impulsive lollipop relationships aren't bad to the point where people are going to cause you harm, but they all need to be thoroughly examined as soon as possible. Everyone doesn't have your best interests in mind. Some may be looking to gain off of you only. This is how you get those envious people around that get to know you and what you have, and they turn around and snake you when they get the chance to. People take advantage of an impulsive lollipop relationship. They only let you know what they want to let you know while you feel comfortable enough to tell them more and more about you and yours. They have no real reason to be truthful as long as they are getting what they came for. When you really think about it, out of all the impulsive lollipop relationships you've encountered in your life, how many are still around? How long did they last on average? I've had some last a few months. I've learned from a few of them. I've opened up too much to a few of them. I've also had some come and go when my grass appeared to be greener than theirs, and they'd already assumed the opposite. But none of them lasted even a real minute. And why? They seemed so promising in the beginning. It made me wish that I would have left them right where I found them. There was no real benefit in letting them in. Most were a complete waste of time and probably money, and none would be around when I really needed a friend to be there for me. The ones that I had encountered from that point on, I take notice to from the start. If you portray what I used to be or currently am, but don't wish to be anymore, I just play my position. I remain who I am, but I notice the reality. People that are like me are going to keep popping up in my life. I don't have to accept them at all. When they flaunt their influence around me, I just let them flaunt away. I recognize this as the devil trying to tempt me. Since I know what is right, I just don't encourage the wrong. I don't want you to think I know anything about what you're even doing, even though I'm very hip to it. Just because you understand and know about something does not mean that you have to encourage it or involve yourself in it anymore. When I am being myself, I am being so despite any negative influences around me. That means that if all of the young thugs around me only converse about killing and the latest crimes committed around us, I remain distant and quiet throughout. It doesn't interest nor does it entertain me. I could care less. When I start caring about certain things, I start attracting the same things around me and my family. I don't jump in and to judge them, but if they ask me anything or involve me in any way, I simply have no rap for that kind of talk. I remain who I am no matter what anyone says or thinks. You can't remain sucker free or stand out if you escape your own feelings and beliefs to entertain what these suckers are on. You've just become a lollipop yourself. My mission and every other standout person's mission is to inspire. We cannot sit back and just watch as we rise and others fall. I have several talks with many fellas that are my age and older about just sitting back and watching these younger generation of males and females walk right off of the cliff. Not only do we watch them walk off, we guide them right to the edge. If we aren't guiding them to the edge, we are laughing at their stupidity as they swear they know it all while walking backward to the edge. It's not cool, and it's not going to strengthen our communities to the point where we can stop complaining and picking up the slack from lost, misguided, and confused individuals. I can easily sit back and say I don't know them, they are just strange lollipops to me, or they don't have anything to do with my rise or fall. I can act like my experiences and learning lessons have taught me more and made me better than them, but that is not right. For one, I should look to make my experiences, good and bad, an inspiration to others. They aren't to be boasted on, as they would become the wrong inspiration. Secondly, what they do, good and bad, affects us all in many ways. All of our actions have an effect on someone, and most times on many people, and that's why we should always look to do positive things to create positive reactions. One who inspires another and another and another. Before you know it, you will be touching people you've never met and never will meet. People do take other people's game and run with it. They use it like their own. But that's cool. At least it is used to change another person for the better. I'm the same way with women. Everyone who knows me personally knows that I feel like we are losing our women drastically. They also know that I feel like if our women become worse than they already are, our men will become even worse than that. Without our queens, there is no such thing as a king. All of these ways of thinking that the men and women have, I understand so well, and I've also learned the causes of such thinking and ways. For instance, women have long blamed men for their downfall, which does have some truth, but women have, for the last 20 plus years, made their own bed to lie on. They used to say that men made songs referring to women as bitches, hoes, and sluts, and also spoke of dogging them out. They used to refer to men as dogs, but at the same time, what people didn't notice, women singers and rappers were co-signing for the accolades and the lyrics that the male artists were dishing out. Songs like the group Moke and Steph's He's Mine made women think it was cool to fight over a cheating man and still claim him, while the other woman suffered the pain of losing someone she was falling for. You also had MC Light's song Roughneck, which persuaded women it was cool and should be desirable to want the thug type man. There were plenty of others too that contributed to this millennial attitude that haunts us to this day. It wasn't just men that were influencing it. These songs were made in the 1990s, and now look at this generation. When men were once considered dogs, women were still struggling to remain queens. Now they ditched the queen state of mind to become more like the male, to think like the male. He's a dog, so she became the female dog now. In other words, the female is now a bitch. That's what they pride themselves on being now. If you could see how all of this has taken shape over the years, you will be just like me and see the need to learn what has happened, is projected to happen, and try your best to be a positive inspiration to those around you. What else is the purpose if you aren't letting your light shine on others around you? It's deeper than just joining the crowd. It's about having the right influence over the rest and changing your area with hopes of changing your whole side. When the rest see you, they should desire to walk in your shadow. Have you ever seen someone straighten up because you came around when you already are aware of how they are? It makes you feel good because you know that all of that you need to do is keep coming around, and that temporary change will become a permanent walk. It feels good to see people paying close attention to what you have to say because you always say the right things at the right times. The only way that you can do this is to be favored, blessed, and have learned and overcome some things. You can't be the type of person that lives in your own bubble and doesn't pay attention to those around you and their ways. Your life has to prove to them that no matter what they think or have seen, it is always another better way, and that way they should be able to see within you. I think about when people would come to my school when I was younger and they would speak to the students about random topics like drugs, alcohol, gangs, etc. These were extremely important topics to speak to the youth about at the time. They also meant well and were very serious when they spoke. I had to later examine what it was that made me and the majority of the other students go home and forget all about who they were and what they were saying. I realized that they had all of the right words, but they didn't have the right look. We weren't staring at their light. It's one thing to talk about drugs and alcohol and things of that nature and even state facts about how you once fallen victim to the substances. But if I can look at you and see that you don't even look like you've ever done a drug or smelled alcohol, why would I listen to or believe you? Why would I take what you're telling me serious? I'm absolutely not going to. No matter how serious the matter is, people want to hear it from those who appear to really know. I felt like they should have at least looked the part, like they were in a play or something. Don't come talking about the dangers of drugs and alcohol to me looking like a lawyer. The kids or the people that you are talking to really do know what a drug addict and alcoholic looks like. People that look similar to this are the ones they believe. When they come to the school talking about careers, looking like professionals, we believe them and we listen. After they left our class, we wanted to be firemen and policemen. It's a way that you are supposed to shine your light without appearing like you denounce everything that you once stood for. That makes folks think that you really didn't learn a thing from your experience. When someone already thinks what you're speaking against is cool for them, it may not have been for you. You have to really show proof through experiences of these downfalls. You have to humble yourself and tell them you are just like them. Just like you would say, I'm an alcoholic in an AA class, even though you haven't drank in months or years. This is what people want to hear in order to trust and believe you. They want to hear that you can feel just like them. That's how they change, and that's how they remember you. Everywhere that I go, the same people that I once attracted to fulfill my thrills and needs are now the same people that I attract to bring along with me in my new way of thinking and my new walk. I'm not necessarily letting them all in my life, but I am allowing them all to follow in my shadow. The young thug that I used to be now wants me to show him ways to act and think like a man. They want to learn how to keep a job. They want to learn how to be a better father. They want to hear someone finally encourage them to do better and tell them they can do it. They want a positive friend instead of all their negative lollipop friends. The fast girls I once couldn't live without I still attract because they want to see what a good man looks and acts like. They want to see what a dedicated father looks and act like. They want to see what a real man wants in a good woman should she decide to ever become one. They want a role model for their children. They want to see what they've been missing all of this time. They want to be loved and not used. They want to be a partner and not a puppet. And although I may not like what's on their mind, I may not want to hear what they talk about amongst one another, I have no choice but to respect them still. I understand that not everyone was brought up the same way. I understand that there will be some leaders and there will be some lollipops. My goal has always been to stimulate the minds of the leaders, as that will eventually have an effect on the lollipops. I have noticed that it is rare, but I have seen some lollipops convert over to being good leaders. The leaders have to observe what the lollipops are mimicking first in an attempt to intervene. They have to respect that the lollipops follow the followers, and they only know what they've seen. They can also learn what is being taught to them. Followers often follow followers who show more than they try to teach. They are showing what they picked up from off the bandwagon and spreading it around like a plague. There are false truths to what they are feeding. For example, they were under the influence of whatever drug or alcohol the night before, and it was the best night of their life. How could that be the best night of someone's life, as dangerous as that could have been and as much was at risk? But still, other lollipops will be persuaded to get on the same level tonight. Many will hurt themselves and or their situation in the process. Another false truth is that such and such has a lot of money because of the brands of clothing they wear and also the amount of drugs they sell. None of that is true the majority of the time. You can wear expensive clothes and still be broke because you spent your last on them. And you can be stunting with your recoup money when you're a drug dealer, but really be broke. Some people don't even realize that if it's all in your pocket, then you are still broke. What kind of rich or wealthy person has all of their money in their pocket? If you show it, people will believe it and try to mimic it, creating a bunch of followers who are all pretending to be something or someone they're not. Showing and teaching is two different things. One can sit up and flash this and that in another's face all day long, but what good does it do to that person they're flashing in front of if they aren't teaching them how to be or get anything that will allow them to reach similar levels? No one cares what you have more than they care about how you got it. People are so hesitant to teach the next person, but they have no problems flaunting in front of them. Unlike them, I have no problems teaching what I know. I don't worry about you being able to do it like me. You can learn anything from me, but if you lack so much as the drive, the determination, the self-motivation, or the dedication that I have, you probably won't even get started, let alone be able to keep up with me and what I have going on. I show less because I don't need you getting envious or even striving to get on my level when you should be trying to get on your own level and have your own things. One thing about me, I make everything I do look cool. People may think that they don't like me, but they love to see me out and about. They love to see what I'm going to do next. All that it is about these strange lollipops is respect. Don't kill me or the messenger. I don't come to make your life miserable. If anything, I came to give you something to watch, learn, and grow off of. Of course, you don't want to be an author, an artist, a graphic designer, or a worker like me, but you should always want the dedication, discipline, and determination I have for yourself. You should always want to be an inspiration and a self-starter like me. You should always want to have goals and be able to do anything and everything that you say you're going to do. No one should want to sit around on the bench listening to and watching the game forever. This builds the hater in you. You want to play now, but it looks like it's too many players on the field and you start building envy and hatred for the best ones. That's not the way to be. You have to get in the game. I couldn't dare sit around and dislike anyone. I'll create my own game or my own plays before I have to hate on yours. I can't envy what the next man has because I'm too busy stacking up on my own possessions. My group of people that has their eyes on me, they love me. I don't have to have it all. They see that I have the potential to have anything that I want. The truth is, though, that I don't desire what the next person has and put all of that pressure on me. I only desire what I need, what would make me better, and what would allow me to grow. I have no desire to deceive eyes and minds. If I were to do all of that, I would have spent too much and lost too much trying to be somebody else or do something more than what it ultimately takes. I don't need everyone to like me for what I have or they think that I have. I do need them to respect me for what I'm about. If I don't cheat on my girl, don't come pick me up and constantly try to tempt me with other women. If I don't hang out in the streets, don't involve me in your street life. When you know what kind of person I've become, don't try to persuade me to be anything other than that person. When you see that I'm family oriented, don't try to do anything to break up my happy home. Respect me and I have no choice but to respect you. I try to base my life so that it isn't difficult to follow my bandwagon. True enough, there are many who only see me for the negative that I've done before and what they may think that I am about now. But when they focus on my real contributions, they see that I am an inspiration to others. My bandwagon isn't filled with loose followers. Instead, it is filled with those who want to be better and successful. Ever since I was a little boy, I always knew that I would be successful. I just didn't know exactly what would make me successful. I've grown to learn that no one thing would make me successful at all. It would be a combination of accomplishments that would lead to my success. When I really think about it, there were plenty of things that I was into when I was that little boy that led me to believe in myself in this way. It wasn't just one accomplishment. I had the Honor Student Awards, the Orchestra Awards, the Student of the Month Awards, awards from summer educational camps, and other achievements throughout my childhood that created these feelings. Still to this day, I have similar accomplishments, minus all of the awards, but I know they are soon to come. My bandwagon consists of these types of people. In order to stay on these paths, one has to stay sucker free. I never once said that having the negative influences that I had or the drug and alcohol problems or the criminal lifestyle that I had ever stopped me from striving and achieving. They did in fact hinder me a lot, but they could never be used as an excuse as to why I couldn't succeed. I am the king of turning what appears to be a negative or bad situation into something that will have a positive effect on me. I understand God enough to know when He is working on something through me. It always looks ugly to the outsiders looking in, but to me, I am always more focused on finding a reason for it and working it. People around me are left with no choice but to see better for me and for themselves. All that I see is the good that can come out of them. All that I see is their potential. The only way that I see this is when I have rubbed off on them enough to have extracted what is holding them back out of them. This is the hard part because people hate for you to see their worst or at least admit that you see it. They start to think that they are being judged or viewed negatively, but this must be channeled first to begin the changing process. Being around me, you have no choice but to get there. I don't want to talk to anyone about anything foolish. I don't want to discuss the latest shootings or who you shot or want to shoot with young men. I take no interest in any conversation that doesn't directly impact me nor has anything to do with making you, me, or us better. On my bandwagon, we network, we share, and we discuss. Nothing makes me more intrigued than a conversation that leads me to an innovative idea. I could go on and on for hours and days about it. I love to move on to the next venture. In my late 20s, I had over 15 years of work experience with about 7 or 8 different titles. I became an author, a music artist, and producer, started my own brand of music, became a father, and became a man. I've dabbled in real estate, sales, and promotions and marketing. I love to do more and become better. It's about stretching out my portfolio. There is still much more that I need to do as well. On my bandwagon, nobody gives up. They get dealt in and take risks. I believe strongly that I was cursed when it comes to holding down a relationship with a woman in my early years because I have so much to do, and the ones that I've been attracted to do not fit my lifestyle. They want to be there at the top, but they don't do me any good in the process of getting there. I may just be one of those people who has to be alone in order to get to where I'm supposed to be. Only until I get there will I be able to enjoy the company of a spouse. All that seems to happen now is I run them off because either they aren't matching up to what I need to fulfill my lifestyle I'm seeking, or they show too much of the types that I've been spending years trying to rid myself of. I don't know, but I know it's not working, and I think I know why. Sometimes you really have to pay attention to God and move accordingly, or risk obstacles coming through and pulling you away just to put you back on the right track. People love to judge you based off of your past character, especially the strange lollipops that knew you back in school or the ones who had previous interactions with you before. If you haven't seen me or talked to me in the last 5 to 10 years, don't act like you still know me. I think about my social media when I get on this subject. I started my page in 2009 and I only wanted to use it to promote my music. Since I have started this new rap music brand called RapSpire in the same year. It actually came to me in a dream that I should get on Facebook, so I woke up and signed up. What I didn't know or expect at the time was how many people that I actually knew from school and from years ago that was actively using Facebook. Mind you, I graduated high school 7 years prior to me signing up. It blew me away that I could really interact with my old peers and show them what I've been up to lately. These were people that I thought I would never see or hear from in life again. I just knew that they were going to be excited and intrigued by what I was doing with myself today. I just knew that this was the perfect platform to expose the new me as it was spoken to me in a dream. This was what I thought, though. I must have forgotten that these were the same people who knew me as a gangbanger, a thug, an outlaw, and a womanizer. I forgot that these were ex-girlfriends that I had hurt at some point before. I forgot these were the same guys that I'd done dirt with, stolen from stores, and broken into houses with. I forgot about my disrespectful tongue and evil attitude toward a lot of these same ones. It wasn't even that I forgot. It was the fact that, hey, I'm a different person now. Or was I? I might still be the same person, especially if everyone still viewed me the same. The impression that I made on most of them was everlasting and it showed. I didn't think about it like this at first, but I later found out that my objective wasn't going to be reached as easily as I thought it would. It didn't matter that I didn't ever post negative statuses. It didn't matter that I never cursed. It didn't matter that all I promoted on the book was positivity. All that they saw was who they'd known me for before. When I posted links to my new projects that displayed the new character that I was, it seemed to be landing on deaf ears and blind eyes. The reactions that I was expecting to get didn't happen at all. If anything, I may have had a couple followers from the past that were proud of me and being outspoken about it, but for the most part it was strangers whom I don't recall ever meeting before that were more into it. I was lost on what I had to do to prove that I wasn't going down the same paths or living the same life as they once knew, but I just had to sit back and accept that a long time ago, this was the bed that I made for myself to lie in. An issue that all need to learn is that this type of reaction can be very discouraging when it comes to the longevity of the new you. Some people may figure that they have changed for nothing or that no one will accept them, so they stop trying. Instead, I decided to just keep on doing what I was doing and continue to get better at being who I was becoming, and they would have no choice but to accept it. And I was right too. 5 years later, I have more and more of them who have accepted who I've become. There are still those who I've left a stain on that doesn't seem to be removable, but they don't bother me at all. What I've grown to learn also is that no matter if they respond or act like they are paying attention, they are watching closely. They would rather remain in the dark because of the way that they feel about me. That doesn't stop them from watching at all. They have become more and more attentive to everything that I do and say over the years. Some people will rather just watch than to comment, and that has to be accepted. Some have even been discreet and inboxed their true feelings to me. In my line of work, the support is necessary in order to know that I'm on the right track. It motivates me to do more. When I notice those that don't speak or comment or like, but they still don't delete or block me, I still consider them as fans. I still act out just so they can watch. I feel like there are some that are proud of me on the low and some that are just nosy. Either way, they are all watching, and that's what counts. As long as I have them watching and talking, I am doing something right. I know what I've done in front of and to some of these people. I don't expect them to drool all over me and what I'm doing because they aren't me. They don't be around me or understand my mission just yet. I do know that when all that I do is release positive energy in the atmosphere, that I will mostly receive positive energy back. I do feel like just because you have seen a person at their worst in the past time, it doesn't mean that you can't appreciate seeing them and acknowledging them trying to do their best now. That alone should be encouraged. When you used to see that person at their worst, you used to hope that they would make a change for the better if you cared anything about them. Just because you may have thought it wasn't going to be likely and that they would stay the same forever just means that the joke's on you. Never think negatively about another person's outcome. You don't know why God allowed them to be that way in order to prepare them for what they are about to become. The same person that you shun can become the same person that will touch more people than you have ever imagined. And that is mostly because of the person that they used to be taught them so much about how to become better and a blessing in others' lives. Don't shy away from this person because of how you felt when they aren't giving you a reason to feel that way anymore. That same person could probably save your life in so many ways that you weren't even woke on. It makes you wonder if these strange lollipops even look in the mirror and see who and what is staring back at them. It's like, I know I had a very negative past and I've done some very foul things to myself and to others, but what have you done in your past? Is your past really that much different than mine? On top of that, what have you done to make not only yourself better, but what have you done to help better others? I can't stand when people only see your issues when they were reluctant to reveal themselves to you at the time. Some lollipops better ask themselves, how did I run across you on a personal level in the first place? There must have been some type of significant reason or common interest. We may have been the same person at the same time. The reason they don't want to acknowledge your change is because they are still stuck doing the same things as before, so they want to still think of you as that same person as well. They don't want to give you the opportunity to change. Everyone knows that lack of support causes a person to abandon their hopes and dreams, so they join the bandwagon. The second that same person sees everyone all up on you, they jump all over you too. When they hear everyone speaking down on you or laughing at you, they speak down and laugh at you too. It's all about wherever the bandwagon decides to go with it. It's sad and happy, but it's true. It's all about who they're following and listening to. That's who they mimic. All that they need to do is look at themselves and they will see that they can't seem to escape their former self like you have. When I switched up my rap flow to a cleaner, more positive flow with messages, I had straight up gangster rappers pulling me to the side expressing how they wish they could rap with meaning the way that I do now. More than anything, they wanted to change. They knew that changing their flow would mean that they would have to change their lifestyle. They knew that changing their lifestyle would mean that they would have to change their crowd. They are terrified of being different because they have not envisioned what a changed mind, changed crowd, changed person, and a changed lifestyle would look or feel like. It's just easier to stay the same. It is fascinating yet difficult to watch another person do and be everything that you want to do and be. It makes them envious instead of inspired and proud. To a person like me, I know that I touch a lot of people indirectly and I strategically do it blindly. I don't try to worry about if you see me, if you hear me, if you're watching me, if you're proud of me, if you hate me, if you love me, or nothing at all. I don't think about it one bit. I know that everyone is doing something if I'm consistently putting it in their faces. They're doing at least one of the above or more. I rarely ever feel like someone that I have encountered hates me though. Hatred is blah blah blah. I do understand that envy is real though. I find a way to overturn envy when I feel someone close to me has it. Instead of cutting them off or being rude, I try my best to help them and make my encounters with them about them and what they have going on only. I don't throw too much of myself at them. I know that people with less on their mind are intimidated by me, so I about put more about them on their mind to take less of me off of it. It's a proven method that I use for envy and it works just fine. It helps me help them look at themselves in the mirror and recognize themselves first and how much I personally encourage the person that they see staring back at them before they start wishing they see someone else when they look at themselves. I remember how Lollipops always said that they needed more haters, using them as a form of motivation, but I am completely opposite. I need more love. I'll take love over hate any day. The same ones saying they need haters are the same ones that let everything the haters say and do bother them so much that they eventually fall off. They realize that their skin isn't tough enough to handle so much hatred in their atmosphere. I totally understand what they are intending for it to mean when it comes down to knowing that you are on everyone's mind, but that could backfire on them easily. I don't wish that on myself at all and never will. I guess as I close this book, it's really about who mind and who really matters. They say those that mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind. That is very, very true in most cases. It all goes back to what I've said a couple times throughout this book. Don't hate me for being who I am, even if you know who I was before. You don't understand what God has had in store for me all along. Anything that I've done before was a learning lesson to get me to be who I am today. I am still not perfect and never will be. I still make mistakes. I still have some similar ways now that I've had before. Ultimately, I could tell who really cares, who's just there to be there, who has my best interest in mind, who's preying on my downfall, and who's envious and hates to see me progress. It's the same for a lot of people that are similar to me. The person that is trying to remain sucker free and be a leader will always carry the heaviest weight on their shoulders. They will always be the ones getting attacked by those who don't even matter, but they will also be the strongest too, as long as they don't let that weight fall on them. It may seem like no one thinks that you have human feelings by the way that they talk to you and treat you. They expect you to be the toughest no matter what. But the same ones that knock you will be the same ones that secretly admire you, watch your every move, and never want to not have you in their lives some kind of way. Keep on fighting to stay sucker free, because this world is full of lollipops that look sweet and tempting, but they are just as small and light as the package that they come in. Stay proud and stay blessed. Rotate with kings and queens only.